What is going on, guys? Benny K here. I have a new review for you guys today. This is the Fiio BTR5 Bluetooth headphone DAC amp. There are a few questions I do have and I want to answer them today. Is this the best solution if your phone doesn't have a headphone jack and you don't have Bluetooth headphones? What does it do for you? And then at the $100 price point, is this something I recommend? Let's check it out. Alright guys, so we do have the Fiio BTR5 here. Let's kind of go over the the form factor and the materials. So as you guys can see, the form factor, like in my unboxing, this is a very small unit. Probably the best thing I could compare it to in terms of size would be kind of like a bigger USB drive, or I pulled out this guy just to show you. This is just a key fob, just a little bit longer than it, but then it's about the same thickness as well, and that's pretty small in terms of being able to have it. It's also a lot smoother because on the outside we have glass on the back, glass on the front, and we do have metal on the sides. We do have I think this is aluminum on the sides, and then yeah, it is quite beautiful. So we do have here, we have the volume rocker, the multi-function button, and then the on and off button, as well as the menu button. So I do have this connected to my computer's motherboard right now, and as you can see, it's running the aptX codec. This does run up to the LDAC codec, which is really good in terms of being able to use high bit music, having those options, as well as this does have LDAC, aptX HD, aptX LL, which is low latency. So if you're watching a video of some sort, to kind of lower the latency between the video and the audio so they can sync up a little better. And then AAC is what it uses. So in terms of that, let's kind of go around it like what we were doing. So we also have here, I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a little microphone there too. So if your headphones don't have an inline mic or anything like that, it will use this. But if your headphones do have an inline mic, which is great, it will switch over to that mic instead of using this one. So on the up here on the top, we do have two types of jacks. We have a 3.5 millimeter, your regular headphone jack, and then what is this little guy? This little guy is actually a 2.5 millimeter jack. But why would you use that? Well, this is actually a balanced output, and your regular 3.5 millimeter is an unbalanced output. So in terms of what does that mean? So when it comes to this, you get more power out of this, not necessarily more clarity, but definitely a lot more power. So if you're not using sensitive headphones, or if like you're using regular headphones like I do with this device, anything up to, I would say 32 ohm, even up to ones that can be 80 ohm headphones, the 3.5 millimeter is fine. But if you're trying to run something a little bit more resistance, like in the, I would say 160 range, not much higher I wouldn't think in terms of power that you'd want to run, I would use the balanced output. So let's go through here. We can kind of go through the buttons and menus. So if I go in here, it shows I'm at 15 volume. I'm just pushing the volume rocker up and down. And then if we do hold this down here, so it basically gives you a filter option. You can change the filters to fast, slow, mini S, APOD 1, APOD 2, hybrid F, brick, fast. I just leave it on fast. Basically these filters, they control the decay of the music in terms of how it rolls off at the end, and things like that. Let's keep rolling through the menus. So you can go through the menu by either pushing the on and off button to go one way or the multifunction button to go another. Multifunction is back, on and off button is forward. So you can have an EQ, which is really cool with the actual application that you have in the phone. You can change these to, they have those little preset ones: jazz, pop, rock, dance, user. So one of the cool things is inside the app itself, you can change the EQ in terms of frequency ranges. So then you can change it to your liking, and you can put it on user. But let's get back to the menu here. I just leave mine off, just so then there's no bias to anything. Let's keep going. There's a dimmer. 6 is the highest, 1's the lowest, and even 1 is still pretty dim. Save battery life. Not really that big a deal. Moving on. So we do have audio USB 2. One of the things you can change is it's for USB 1 or USB 2. Don't really have a reason to use that, because at least in computers nowadays, they're smart enough to figure out which one you're going to be using. Let's keep going. Car mode. If you're obviously using it in the car, once you jump in the car, it'll go straight over and connect. Charge on, charge off. This is a pretty nifty little thing. Basically what you can do with it is, if you plug it in through the USB-C through your phone, it'll charge it as well as use it as a headphone DAC amp if it's plugged in. Same thing as if it's plugged into your computer or laptop, or even, like, let's say iPad or something. Basically you can turn the charge on and off. If you don't need the charge and you don't want to drain your phone, do it that way. If you're plugged in, obviously. Then you can change the gain. So if you're using high sensitive in-ear monitors or high sensitive headphones themselves, you can turn it to low or high. That does help with power as well. And we are in version 1.06. That's kind of all that's going through the menus. A couple of the things in the app itself that do make it kind of useful is you can change in terms of, like on here, it shows, let's go back to so it shows basically the codecs. Let's say your phone's not doing well on one of the codecs, usually LDAC because it's the higher resolution and higher bit rate codec. If your phone doesn't like that codec, in the app itself you can turn off specific ones and turn on specific ones in terms of usage. So that's pretty awesome. Couple things in the menu that you don't see in handhelds, because you have that option to use the application. Alright guys, so one of the things I didn't go over yet, how does it sound? So in terms of how it sounds, like I said in my unboxing, even after the first couple days of impression, again, I would reiterate this as clean. So what does it mean when I say clean? So clean, basically it doesn't really have a bias to any different frequency range. So the lows, mids, and highs, it has a little bit, it's a little heightened in the mids, but not really. It's not enough to warrant it to say that it has a bias there. It's more depending on the song itself, whether or not it's going to be forward and how it's recorded and what it's recorded on and how it was digitized, things like that. And some songs it does sound a little bit like that. And then you kind of listen to it a little bit longer and you're like, it sounds a little forward, a little bit. So in terms of vocals, so then it kind of sparks you thinking, okay, the mids are a little bit heightened. Again, it depends on the song itself. But if you have something that's produced really well, or more produced for like the wall of sound, like for people that will listen to radio. Radio songs that are put on the radio, they're kind of everything's shoved forward so it can be sound best on radio. That's why they do that. That's why when you look at a sound wave of a pop song, there's no dynamics. It's just wall of sound. So in terms of it being clean, again, this is clean. What I did notice though is when you do plug it into the USB-C, like for a laptop or whatever device you're using to plug it into, it does bring those up a little bit more in terms of the lows come up a little bit and the highs get a little bit more sparkly and clear, more clarity, a little bit more resolution up top. So in terms, the other thing I did want to test was, does the balanced versus unbalanced, which one sounds better? Well, with the balanced side, it does sound better. The reason it does that is because with the balanced, you have a little bit more power. So when it comes to like shoving a little bit more power out in the output into your headphones, it changes the dynamics. It adds more dynamics to the music itself. So then it doesn't sound so wall of music. It adds some dynamics to it. Another thing with that is it's just so slight. It's very slight. Just as it like with the mids, it's very slight. Again, and it goes from song to song. So I did want to kind of go over why would you really need this. Again, if your phone doesn't have a headphone jack and you don't want to spend $200-300 or $120 or $100 on some AirPods that sound kind of meh, and you have some really good headphones already, like some Hi-fi Sandaras or a pair of DT770 closed-back headphones. Use this guy, because it's gonna make it sound a lot better. And I did test too over this past week. I have a friend that has a Fiio M11. I wanted to test them over Bluetooth to see which one sounded better, and the M11 sounded better. But to let you know, remember the price of this guy, $100 to $110. M11 retail price $650. So in terms of that, the dynamics and the resolution and the clarity of the M11 is better. You can hear it in terms of comparing them with the same file and everything. You can hear it. But it's not a $550 or $540 bump for most people. It's not worth that. If you're a crazy listener and you're a crazy audiophile person, maybe, sure, spend the money. But for the everyday, day-to-day person, this is what you want. This is what you need. So I did write a couple things down here just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And again, what are your needs for this guy? Your headphones don't have an inline jack or an inline microphone, and your phone doesn't have a jack. Your laptop, you want something like, let's say you're a student, you have limited desk space, but you want your headphones to be played louder and with better quality. This guy, because you can plug it in with USB-C to USB-A into your laptop or even a PC if that's all you have space for on your desk. And then after you're done using it at your desk, you can take it with you to class and plug your good headphones into this. So when it comes to is this something I would recommend? I couldn't recommend this any more than get it. Just get a couple of them. In case you lose one. You know what I mean? Like, they're not that expensive. Yes, for a student that would be kind of silly to buy two of them. But again, it's priced low enough. If in the case you lost it, you could buy another one and not have an issue. So it's hard for me when I like look at something like this and I talk to my audiophile friends and they're like, oh my gosh, that I can hear that it sounds kind of cold and it's there's no warmth to it, and like then they're getting into preferences. Not everyone thinks that way. For the everyday, day-to-day use, this is the go-to. It just is. This is the go-to. So when I say that and say that and say that, I have turned some of my audiophile friends into using stuff like this, because if you lose that $650 M11 or the Estel and Kern like DAP, that's a lot of money you're out of. Like, that's a lot. That's some serious gear to be pocketing around. Just like their phones, they're $800 to $1,500 cell phones. You break that, man. Everyone freaks out because that's a lot of money for an electronic device. This is not a lot of money. To have better quality sound in your all-around day, if you listen to music on the daily or audiobooks or anything else, get this. Alright guys, again, that's how my review went with this guy. I loved it. I'm gonna keep it forever, or as long as I don't lose it. If you guys have any questions specifically about this guy, leave some comments down below. Thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't like it. Again, subscribe if you want to see more. The next review will probably be my monitor, which would be the Fiio BTR5 Prime. It'll be kind of a short review, only because I don't have all the testing ability for it. But I will see you guys in the next video. See you later.